So we're here today with Blake Mitchell, Esports Director in Bethany College. Blake, thank you for your time.
Absolutely, man. Thank you for having me on here. I always appreciate the opportunity to have a chance at meeting some new people.
Great. And before we start, you know, to delve into the interview, how did you get to Esports Director of Bethany College? Lead us a bit in your trajectory.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I certainly didn't plan on this being my full time career back when I was a student myself. So I actually have my degrees in biology and chemistry. I worked in the engineering field, I guess semi related, not directly related, but I worked in the engineering field for a couple years. When COVID-19 came around, my position at the pharmaceutical company I was working for was cut.
Mhm.
So I was just kind of looking and on the side doing some Twitter org, esports related stuff, and then I saw the job opportunity here at Bethany College in Kansas, which is my alma mater. So I applied and been here ever since, going on starting up year number 4 here in just another month or so.
That's great. And how was the initial did Bethany College insist in this esports program? Were the students asking for this? Like, how did the esports program initially start?
Yeah, I mean, esports is just growing at the collegiate level all across the country, all across the continent, I suppose. I'll be super honest with you. I'm not familiar with what esports might look like over in your guys' neck of the woods. I'm very ignorant and uneducated in that aspect, but I can say over here, it's been growing and growing for really the last 8 to 9 years or so from when it started.
Mhm.
And that was just something that our athletic department here at Bethany was interested in getting kind of getting a foothold in, as well as one of our faculty members that's over our arts and digital arts department. So I believe our athletic director and then one of our faculty members came together. And I was not here at the time. This was all before I was hired. So this is my understanding of the way that the situation unfolded. But I believe they got together and expressed interest to one another about starting up an esports program, giving us here at Bethany College the opportunity to offer the same type of scholarships that we give to our student athletes, offering that same opportunity to a whole new group of incoming students, whether that be athletes that double in esports as well, or whether it be your traditional student that also happens to have a passion. So I think that was kind of the goal from the beginning before I got here, and then that certainly has been the goal since I took over the program here in September of 2020.
Right. And what would you say is like your objective in the program? I mean, because some programs focus more on the varsity competitive side. Programs offer are more in the academics. Some programs are more in developing skills. Are you a bit of everything, or do you focus more on one thing? Because
Sure.
it's interesting because so the right student approaches you in the future.
Absolutely. So I think it's very fair to say that every different aspect of the student experience, whether it be your academics, your esports, your clubs, your other involvements on campus, social life, I think that all of those really are important to us here, and I like to put a lot of emphasis on making sure that everybody has the ability to utilize the tools that our program provides and that our school can provide to make sure that they're getting the experience that they want. I tell students, both recruits, my current students, it's kind of the culture in our program right now. That from the top, we have two goals. I have two number one priorities. I know that doesn't quite line up all the way. I always say my priority 1B is I do want us to be the most competitive team that we can. We want to make sure we're having fun on game days and going and competing at a high of a level as possible with the talent that we have in house. But that's only priority 1B. I do think winning is important. I think winning's fun. I think winning makes the overall experience of esports more enjoyable for players. And that certainly has its importance. But I always tell everybody my priority 1A, so just a little more important than winning those games, is always to make sure that I am providing an atmosphere in which I feel like my student athletes can thrive. It's important to me that if I'm bringing students from across the country, whether it be across the state, even from here in town in our little Lindsborg, Kansas, or if we're bringing in some international students, there's there's always that idea of going to a new place for the first time, moving away from home for the first time, and that fear of not fitting in, or that fear of not feeling like you belong. And that's something that I want to eliminate right off the bat. I start working on that as soon as I can. As soon as I meet a recruit, I love to introduce them to some of the players that are currently in my program. Try to give them the opportunity to develop those relationships as early as possible, because I want people, no matter whether they feel like they may not, be super successful in the classroom at any given moment, or maybe they're, maybe not fitting in with their roommate or whatever. It's important to me that all of the people in my program, and all the people at Bethany College for that matter, know that they have a home here. Know that if they're going through anything, if they're homesick, whatever it may be, that they've got people within our esports program that they're able to come talk to. So I always say priority 1B is winning. Priority 1A, just above that, is I want to make sure that I'm providing opportunities for people to enjoy their time here in every facet. I think that's the most important thing. I want to make that positive impact more than just in the wins and losses column.
Yeah, that's great. Like when you come from another country to the US to study, like being part of a program, and like the players being welcome, it helps a lot, to in the adaptation. So yeah, I was
Yeah, I can't
very
imagine.
interested for
I
tennis, and when I went there, if I didn't have a team to go to, like it would be much harder, like
Yeah, no, I can't imagine what that experience would
yeah.
be like. I've never left the country myself, but I can't imagine it's an easy one. No matter how comfortable you are, how outgoing you are, I still think it's important to have those resources in place and know that, hey, if I'm having a bad day or if I'm having a tough time in this class, there's at least one person on this at this school I can go talk to about it, and I don't have to keep that to myself. That's very, very important for me here. I want to make sure that family is a word I use to describe our program quite a bit. That we're all looking out for each other. I think that's incredibly valuable.
That's great. And do you also like make sure that for like for example in the dorm situation, because that's something that the parents ask a lot,
Sure.
that are the players usually with players from their program, meaning like do you try to like each player to get them together, so they have the same schedule, both academic and both in practice, or
Sure, sure. So as far as housing goes, that
mm,
is primarily dependent upon what the student or the incoming student puts on their housing application. So if you have the opportunity, like I said, when I meet somebody for the first time, if I feel like we would be a good fit for them, and I feel like they would be a good fit for us, I like to get them involved with some of our current players and other recruits as quickly as possible. So when the student, if we get to that point, they decide they want to fill out that housing application and sign up for a residence hall, they can actually put on there, hey, I would like to live with person A or person B. So you do have a bit of a say on what that looks like, which I think is good. Particularly again, moving overseas to a new environment for the first time, having some
mhm,
familiarity. Whether that means the person digitally, or whether it means that you can feel rest assured that they have some similar interests. That is something that we try to do, as often as we are able to do. As far as academics goes, if I have two students that are studying business, we'll say, for example, then they may have a very similar schedule. Very rarely do I think they would have the exact same schedule every single day of every single week as another student. But I do have several players in my program that have the same academic focus, that share classes together and have a very similar schedule.
and and talking about schedules, like how would you describe like a day to day of a student player, like from like both like from they wake up to they go to sleep, like both in class and then in practice?
Absolutely. So I can give you kind of a vague description of what it was like for me. It really is different for everybody. We have so many different degree paths here, so there's so many different classes that happen on different days and different times. But I would say on average, an average day would be, if you're a breakfast person, we do serve breakfast from 7:30 to 9 a.m. in the cafeteria, and then student will have classes throughout the day, usually between 8 and maybe 2:30 or 3 would be an average day, and that's not always back to back to back. Oftentimes, there's my favorite part of the day, which is the nap break when you get to go take a nap in between classes. But once classes are done for the day, maybe 3, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, um,
Mm.
students usually have just a little bit of time if they're not involved in any other activities that they can kind of relax. Maybe get some extra work in Rocket League or Valorant or whatever they're interested in competing. And then we usually start practice or games depending on the day of the week around 6 o'clock or so, 6 or 7. The reason we start a little bit later is because a lot of our students, our esports student athletes, are involved in music, whether that be the band or the orchestra. They could also be involved in other sports, and that 3 o'clock to 5 or 6 is when those groups meet. So I like to allow our students to be involved in as much as they want to. So we go just a little bit later in the evening, and then we usually wrap up, 2.5 hours or so after we begin, and then the rest of the evening is the students to do whatever they choose.
That's great.
A lot of
And
them choose to continue playing some games until about 1 or 2 in the morning, but that's okay.
you have like
Freedom of choice when you become a young adult.
yeah. So you have like a certain time that for example, the level all installations close, or you just let them play like it's onto their own choice. Like how is
Yeah.
it? Do you
Yeah,
have
so
access
Yeah, so here on our
24/7?
campus, we do have our facility which has 16 PCs.
Mhm.
It is a shared space right now, so it is a classroom for our graphic design, video game design classroom. So for our digital arts majors, it's a classroom from 8 a.m. until 4 p.m. Monday through Friday, and then from 4 p.m. until 2 a.m. it's open for esports.
That's great. And mm, talking about you mentioned academics. That's sometimes students ask if does your school like offer like a certificate or a minor in esports. Like, do they focus in esports, or are they planning on putting esports as in the academic side?
So we've absolutely had conversations about it. Nothing set in stone. We do have a sports management major. So what we have
Mhm.
discussed in the past as like a trial basis to see if there'd be any interest is possibly exploring an esports management minor or maybe a sports management major with a focus in esports management. One of the two. And then just kind of seeing what the interest in that is, both from our current students and those we're looking to bring in. And then if that's something that takes off and the program excels, then maybe expanding it a little bit, adding a few more classes and making it a full blown major. Those are conversations we've had. Nothing. There's not a whole lot of traction in those yet. That is something that I would like to continue to discuss as we move forward here in the years.
Okay, okay, okay. Just out of curiosity. And what would you say like is like a competitive advantage of Bethany College? Is it the size of the university? Is it like something about the esports program? What would you say like for you is why international students should go to Bethany College or
Yeah, I
should
think
consider?
Absolutely. I think there's a couple reasons that, and it depends on the student. And I'm always very honest with my recruits that I talk to. And if I don't think we'll be a good fit for them, if I don't think they'll be happy here, I'll tell them, hey, there's better fits for what you're looking for. What I really like about Bethany College is I really enjoyed as a student because I graduated here about 5 years ago. I was a really, really big fan of the class sizes and the relationships I was able to build with my professors. We had typically around maybe 15 or so students in a class. And what that allows you to do is it allows you to go have a conversation with a professor if there's something that you need help with, help
Mhm.
understanding. Because at a bigger school where there's lecture halls of 5 or 600 students in the class at a time, that option's not really there. It's not there frequently. So
Mhm.
I was very thankful for that. I really really like our small campus. One of my favorite things. And I was one of those that stayed up way too late playing video games in college as well. And I'm sure that most esports student athletes do the exact same thing. I know the ones I have on campus right now do. Um, One of my favorite things is, if you stay up too late, you're really tired, you want to hit that snooze button on your alarm one time, it only takes about 5 minutes to get from a dorm room to class on the other side of campus. It's such a small campus that I can get from one corner all the way to the other in less than 5 minutes. And that was a big draw for me as well. I didn't have to drive to my classes. I didn't have to, you know, take 20 minutes to walk from building to building. It's very small, very compact, which I really, really liked. It's about 2 city blocks in total, the size of the campus. That and the campus community, I think our campus community is very strong. For the most part, students take care of each other. Um, Very good relationship for the most part between staff, faculty, and students. There's, I tell students when you come to Bethany, there's only about 650 kids or so on campus on average per semester. So every single kid here matters. It's not one of those where you're one of 20,000 or one of 40,000 students.
Mhm.
As an individual here, you matter. You're not just a number to us. Everybody has a name, everybody knows your name, and everybody cares and wants to know that you're doing okay. And I think that's a big draw as well. On the esports side, what I can't tell you is that we have a full Radiant team in Valorant, or a full Grandmaster team or Challenger team in League of Legends or Overwatch, because we're not at that point at this moment. But what I can say is, while we're not the highest rank in the country by any means, my guys care about each other. My guys and gals. I have a couple ladies in the program as well. We all care about each other. We take care of each other very, very well. The opportunities to improve both individually and as a team, and the resources required to do so, are present every single day for our students, whether that be myself. Um, we do have an assistant coach for a couple of titles, and then we also have our students that'll peer mentor and tutor each other, and help each other out in learning as well. So I do think that the opportunity to improve, if you're looking to improve individually, or for the entire team to improve, certainly exists every day, and the culture we've built and developed so far supports that, and that's something we're very proud of.
Great. And when when you're interested, like in the profile, like each profile and academic profile, and then you have like the meeting with the student to talk to him, like
Yeah.
what are you looking for, so to see if like the student fits in your philosophy, in the philosophy of the esports program?
Yeah,
What
absolutely.
soft skills?
Yeah, so it's not so much that I'm looking for something specific. It's more that I'm cautious when I see certain characteristics come out, if that makes sense. And the
Mm-hmm.
reason I say that, and I know that sometimes we can present ourselves in a way that we don't mean to, and I'm very sensitive to that. But what I mean by that is, we have a very team first culture right now. Our players have the attitude of, it doesn't matter if I'm the best, or if my best friend is the best, or if my teammate down the row there is the best. What matters is that we're all doing well together, that we're winning rounds. I would rather us win a game 13-0 in Valorant, and have everybody have an even number of kills, or whatever it may be, an even stat line, than to lose one by a score of 12-14, and have one guy that drops 45 kills or something like that. It's those that selfish mindset of, I have to do well, I have to make myself look good, is something that I like to avoid. I think it's much more important to put team success beyond individual success. And there have been times where I've noticed in a couple recruiting calls, not anytime recently, thankfully, but you get the mindset, or the students have portrayed the mindset that maybe what they're interested in is coming here and being the superstar, or trying to maybe not being the best team player, but playing in a way that makes themselves look good, not for the betterment of the team. And those are the things I like to try and avoid. And through the couple thousand recruits that I've met, I feel that I've developed the ability to kind of detect that to an extent. And then I'll still bring those students in to have a conversation. But that's one of those things that my program, my participants that I have right now, they know that hey, it's team first, and team first is more important than me first. And so if somebody comes in and joins the fold and they're that way, well, then now I'm concerned that A, our team is not going to be as good, but B, I'm concerned that my players aren't going to get along, because they have different goals and different mindsets. And And that's one of those things that I have concerns is going to cause my players to be unhappy, and that's not something I want to do. I care so much about the happiness and mental and physical
Hmm.
well-being of the people I have on campus. So I don't want to bring somebody in here who's a sour apple and is going to kind of
Yeah.
unwind all of the progress that we've made and all of the developments that we've achieved together. So that's really the only thing I look to avoid. I don't really have anything that I specifically look for. I guess on the flip side, a very team first mindset is something good to look for, but that's the biggest thing on the esports side. And then I look for somebody who's also interested in coming in and succeeding academically. I'm not I'm not interested in bringing in students that I have to reach out to 3 times a week to make sure they turned in their homework so that they're gonna be eligible to compete.
Hmm.
I'm not gonna do that. I don't have time in my day to do that. Nobody does. We're all responsible for our own responsibilities, and, so I certainly look for that academics first trait and wanting to, come complete that degree, especially for an international. If you're going to come here and pay between 15 and $25,000 a year, I certainly don't want you failing classes because that's a lot of money if you're not going to get the credits that you're paying for. You could play video games anywhere. You can't go to school anywhere. So if you're fortunate enough to be able to afford to go to school, let's take care of those academics and make sure we're not wasting that money.
Yeah, that's for sure. Well, Blake, I think I asked you all the questions that I wanted to ask you. Where can people find you and the esports program of Bethany College?
Yeah,
Social media.
absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, so I'm active on Twitter. Our Swedes Esports Twitter is usually active during the school year, not so much during the summer when there's no students on campus. And then I primarily use Discord to recruit. My Discord tag is BCBiz, BCBIZZ, all one word. That's my primary recruiting platform. So if anybody's interested, please reach out at any point. I always love to have a conversation, and if we can provide an opportunity that sets you ahead in life, I'd love to see what we can do to make that happen. Always looking to grow the family.
Well, Blake, thank you so much for your time, and I'm still in touch.
Awesome. Thank you very much.